Hello
Hey,
all, welcome to another session of SD Skills. Today we are doing a system design mock interview. John is the candidate and Parin is the mock interviewer. With this, I would hand it over to these folks, over to you folks. Thank you.
hey, John. So, are you ready to get started with your system design interview?
Sure.
Yeah. So the question is, I have a building and I have a elevators. Okay, and I want you to simulate it basically. So it's little bit different than our design, but we'll cover everything. Okay. So
Yeah,
so
one more thing. So generally we ask the candidate to share his or her screen. Uh, so John, do you have any tools which you want to use while doing the mock interview?
What do you mean? Like you talking about an IDE or?
yeah, whatever. So whatever
Yeah,
you feel
whatever.
comfortable.
It could be Google Doc, it could be Xcali Draw, it could be Draw.io, anything which you want, which parent can see you are writing and drawing or doing any activity. So think in that way, if you are doing a actual interview, how you will present it to the interviewer.
Okay, yeah, I don't have any tools that I've used for that kind of thing, except for, let's see, maybe there is an online drawing tool that I've used. No, I don't think so. So if you've got any examples or suggestions, I'm happy to use them.
Yeah, there are a lot of design tools. People use this Xcali Draw. If you share your screen, then you can open and draw it there.
So what kind of tool you guys used before?
You mean for drawing out plans, just whiteboards?
Yeah, whatever. So whatever in a system, like you can pull up your Word document or something like that, where you can present your skill.
Okay. Well, like I said, if you have a link to something, I'd be happy to use. Okay, excellent. Someone gave me one, so I'll just use that. And can everyone see my screen okay?
Yeah, I think you can expand. Yeah, this is better. And now here you can draw and also write. I think if you click on that A thing on the top, that A, uh, more right. Now you can start writing. Try writing something. Yeah, and then there is a way you can draw. Also, you can click any shape. I think you bring it down and you can draw. So yeah, that's how it works. Draw, write, draw, write.
Excellent.
It's pretty intuitive, easy tool. I think you'll get to love that. Okay. Sorry. Now I will not interrupt. So, okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
go ahead, John. So did you get the question?
So I hear that you want to rebuild an elevator, and you want to kind of simulate the same thing that an elevator goes through.
Right.
And you've got a set of buttons, I'm sure. So I guess I
Yeah.
should start drawing this
Yeah.
out. Kind of like, let's see, can we highlight multiples inside of this? Just like that happens. Yeah, copy and paste. Okay, good, cool. So let me just get the same button. So most elevators, they'll have like sets of buttons for the floors that you're going to work with. Let's see. Why isn't those? Well, let's do it like
You
this.
can write it down somewhere. So I think.
There we go. So typically, are you talking like this kind of layout where you have buttons for an elevator, and then you also have like your control buttons, like your open, your close button, your hold button, things like that?
Yeah, you just have to simulate, right? Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So if you have any clarifying questions, so you can go ahead and discuss. So I can have a 10 buildings, right? So 10 floor, you can say, and 3 elevators.
10th floor
10 floors,
and 3 elevators.
3 elevators.
Okay. Now you mentioned that they kind of operate like elevators, but they have a slight difference. Do we want to go over that now, or is that going to come later?
So you got the idea how elevator works, right? So just
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure you understand how it's work, right?
Yep.
So I have a hallway. So there are 3 elevators, and I have a 10 floor building. So people are coming and going up, down. So each they can go to any floor they want. So,
Okay.
yeah. So how do you design this?
All right. So the first thing I would do is, well, we need to figure out like, we've got 10 floors. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't want to, let me just start over here because I think I probably jumped the gun on you. Probably the simplest thing to do is just to satisfy the design for just 2 floors at first. And then once we get our concept for 2 floors, we can start expanding from there.
Oh, sure.
Okay. And I want to go over the basic ideas for the elevator. The first, I guess, is we need a call button. So when we're on the ground floor, let me just draw a line here to separate elevator from people's expectations. So if you're on the first level, you probably want to have like a little button somewhere that you can press. It's just like the call button. And if we say that we got an elevator here, and we'll do an elevator there, and we'll put the third one over here on the right. So now we've got our 3 elevators, and we've got our call button. And if I were going to do this, I guess I would probably just put my 2 buttons that I expect to be inside of an elevator in here. Are you just wanting to know like the hardware, like the layout design of it, or the technical design of it?
Oh, yeah, technical only. So we
Okay.
don't have to deal with the hardware for sure.
Okay. All right. So if we wanted to do that, I guess the first method I would create would be like a callback method, something here to try to make sure that it can have an elevator return home. We should put it at its starting position. Once we have that and the elevator returns home, so let me call home. That's it. So that's this button here. Once the elevator returns, I guess I'm going to draw out some expectations up here, like what I would expect it to do. So we want to do this to begin very, very generic. Like we don't care if people are in the middle of trying to walk out, the elevator's going to close, they're going to return home. And we'll worry about decapitating people's legs and stuff in a minute. But so on call home, all elevators return. Oops. Ground floor. So but before we can actually get to that, we have to define what floor 1 is. So floor 1 is starting floor, ground level. And this is home button. We wouldn't return to the ground floor, it would return to the floor in which it was pressed. And that at least gets our elevators to where we want. And then I would probably inside of the elevator. So this is outside the elevator. Inside, would have a bunch of different options. Obviously, you need to have buttons to go to whatever floor that you want to go to. You also have to have, most elevators also have
Those,
sensors.
those are basic standard, right? So in any elevator, if you go like those are standard, you can skip that part. Basically, you have a 10 floor. Each elevator, I have a button kind of thing. You can go to any floor like 1 to 10. I have that. So from outside, I can have the button like up or down, and
Yeah.
those are the common thing, right? So I'm not going to invent the wheel, so how the button is going to be designed or something like that. So I want you to a system design this, right? How do I manage this elevator?
I don't understand what you mean.
Okay, so you know 3 elevators now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at the ground floor, so I press I can press the any elevator, right?
Yeah.
Out of 3. So as a user, so I would like to go first which one is available, right? So you just have to simulate that. For example, none of the elevator is available, so I can press any of the button of 3 of this elevator. So
Okay.
that doesn't matter that which one will come first, right?
Uh-huh.
So that kind of stuff I'm looking for.
So you're wanting to only work inside the elevator?
No, outside. So you are in outside now. So you are you wanted to go to 5th floor now. Okay, let me clarify. You wanted to go to 5th floor now. So
Okay.
all of the elevator are busy. You don't know where it is. Okay.
Okay.
So you press one of this button. Choose anyone from the first one you press. Okay.
Okay.
So first one is on the 10th floor. The second one is the 3rd floor, and the first one is 2nd floor. So you press the first, like whichever one is earlier, right? That will come first to you to serve you, correct?
Yeah, should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want that kind of design you wanted to do. So how do you simulate that? Which elevator is come to you to serve you to take you to the 5th floor?
Okay. Nice. I think I see what you mean.
Okay.
So you're saying that when we click on the button,
Right.
we want to have the elevator that's closest to our floor to actually meet us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how would I simulate that? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess there's a few ways to do it. You could probably keep track of it somehow inside of your application. Like you could have something that knows at whatever floor it is that you have your elevators on. So, and this would tell you, this would be the different floors that it's on. So this is 1. Then this was 2. On and on and on for every floor. And you can tell if you have elevator, if there's an elevator here, 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 or whatever. And but I guess the other way you could do it is, I mean, this would just be tracking. So you're tracking the location of every elevator on every node. The other thing you could do, I guess, is you could not worry about tracking and let the elevators track themselves as far as what floor they're on. And then every time you hit a button, it just broadcasts to them all. And then the one that like each one of them will be like, how many floors am I from the person that called? So this would just send a signal and say, I'm on floor 1, right? And it would just broadcast. And it would just basically, when you press, it would just broadcast to them all.
System is a very common question asked during interviews.
Yeah.
And then based on what level they're on, or excuse me, so let's say that this is their scenario. If the elevators have enough information for themselves and you're just saying, hey, I'm on floor level 1, then they would just do a basic math problem of how many floors away am I?
Right.
And then whoever it is that is the slowest, so they'll all report back to each other and just kind of keep cross communication like, hey, hey, I'm telling you, I'm on floor 10 and I'm 9 floors away. And they do the same. Then whoever it is that has the lowest amount would win. So whoever's got the closest would have the least amount of hops to get back, could actually just decide for themselves that they wanted to do that. But the same thing up here, you could have a central system that does that for them. So instead of like this big mesh network that you've got down here, where they all have to communicate with each other,
Correct.
you could do a central control system that does the same idea, except it just basically calculates on position and then based off a simple subtraction, decide which one's going to be closer and recall that one. And so it would send a signal to that specific elevator and say, hey, I want you to get down here. Does that make sense? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. But can you
Uh,
draw some kind of diagram, like class
yeah,
diagram?
sorry to interrupt. I believe my voice is audible. So just a question in here. I think, John, the requirement is more of on the side that you can go for the low level design type thing, that where we will be having all the classes and states to be managed, at how we would be managing the state of an elevator. Let's say that if the elevator is moving up or down or is in an idle state, and in that case what all classes you would be considered, because if I'm not wrong, then for the elevator system design the HLD would not be required there as such, because it's just more of a sequential flow diagram would be there. So you can go through all the like the algorithms which you can use, more of like the first come first service algorithm for the elevator, or picking up on a random basis, or like round robin type thing, where you would be putting up the requests in the queue system, and then
Hey,
you would be
Vinay,
picking
sorry
up
to
the
interrupt you, but I don't think so. We interrupt these people now. We will only interrupt them when the interview is done. Let them
no, actually
continue.
it was not going in the right direction. Okay, no issues. Sorry.
Okay, John. So
Yeah.
you got the idea, right? It's already some reason been given some kind of hint to you. So
All right. So
Yeah.
we would now go in, or so you're saying now the next step, once we understand what the thing it is we want to do, we want to now
right, how do
figure
you
out.
do that, right? How do you do that? If you give the design to the development team, so that if once they implemented it should work, something like that. I don't want to run the executable code, but you just have to give a high level system design. Okay, this is my class, right?
Mhm.
So which will store whether my elevator is going up or down. Suppose you are outside and hit up arrow, so you have to store somewhere, right? So
Oh yeah, I mean, so
direction, yeah, so you have to store some kind of direction, which direction is elevator is moving. So for example, it's up and down, right? So now you should have like that's the external request, right? You need to find out what kind of request is it, whether it's external or internal, right? So suppose outside I wanted to go to 10th floor, then you have to, that's the external request. So if somebody is in inside the elevator, then you can have to segregate as a internal request. So something like that, you have to come up with that.
so this is where I'm having a hard time understanding this problem, because when you ask me about like how I would design an elevator, the things that go through my head is I'm just thinking kind of like what functional controls, and then I think cause and effect, and then this is where I wanted to go here and there.
Okay.
And so I'm not able to really like grasp like the software design of this yet, because it feels like we're looking at this from a high level like architectural blueprint pattern is the way I'm looking at this. So if we want to get into like the software design pattern system or whatever it is that we want to go into, you might have to lead me down the path to where we can at least get started on that, because I'm not seeing the connection here on how I can go from a high level design down into a software design. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see. So have you any experience something like object oriented programming and
Yeah.
how the software develop, right? You have the class comes in. How do you do that? So that's how
Okay. Okay. Well, if we wanted to do that, okay, thank you for asking that. That's a very good question. So we wanted to have an external, and then we also have our internal.
right.
So what you're asking. And then each one of these, we want to be able to have different, we want to be able to say there was a press. And we want to know, we also want to have, well, oops, excuse me, that's external. When we press this button, this thing is going to report what floor.
So external request, what are the feature it can provide, right? So it can have a source of the floor, right? It's not current floor, right? You have to take care of the naming convention, right? I can be at any floor, I can request for the elevator, right? So you should have some kind of external class.
No, I don't think I would agree with that because every external button is going to have a concrete floor that it's assigned to. It can't move, right?
No, external button, suppose I'm in the 3rd floor, I can go up and I can down, right?
Yeah, but I mean, what I was saying is like it'll have an assigned floor that it's on. Like assigned floor is floor 3, for example.
So John, suppose you are at the 3rd floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you wanted to go to 5th floor. So what you have to do?
Press the up button.
You have to press the button, right? So then you should have some kind of mechanism to track where did you press the button, right?
Yep. That's what this is. This would tell me like what floor it is that button was assigned
Right,
to.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can say source, you can say source, some kind of source floor where you pressed, you should know.
Or
Yeah,
or assigned floor or current floor or whatever. It means semantics, right? Press button, you have a button that you press, that'll be your direction. So it's like your call button almost.
right.
And this reports for, and let's see, what else could we do with this thing? If we know what floor we're on, we press a button, then it does a callback.
How about the tracking direction, right? Whether it's off or down.
Oh, that's what I was trying to do here with this is like, so I'm envisioning that when we press this button, we put another, where's it?
Okay, okay.
So I would say press button.
Yeah, direction is kind of some kind of your custom class, right? Which will track up and down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, okay, so let's just keep it with that. I don't want to go down the
Oh, that's
rabbit
totally
hole
fine.
on this,
Yeah.
but so far that's good enough for that, I guess.
So how about internal? So I think you got the idea, right?
So this one will tell me what floor it's on. This can be any number from 1 to 10. Then we would also have a button for this one has a similar idea. So we
Yeah,
just
you can say destination. Yeah.
And then destination button. And then you also have your other buttons like your open and hold buttons or whatever, close buttons. I don't know. This one's pretty tough for me, so I'm trying my best.
That's fine. That's fine.
So I've never really thought about like how to design something like this before, but well, I'm doing my best.
Okay,
Let's see.
so do you have some kind of elevator, right? You have elevator, right? So you just have to model that one too, right? So these are for request, right? You should have some kind of class to hold elevators state,
Excuse me?
elevator state, like you should have a class called elevator, which will hold what floor is it, right? How do you know what floor? There are 3 elevators, right? How do you know what is the state of the 3 of them elevator? So this is fine. So internal and external, so you are tracking them. So within this elevator and outside of the elevator, but you should know the state of the elevator.
What do you mean by could you clarify what you mean by current state?
Suppose you have 3 elevators, right? In this example. So not here. So you just have to create another kind of object to hold the elevator state, right? Elevator. You just have to give the name elevator. Yeah. So you should consider like whether they are moving up, whether down, or they are in the resting condition, and they are too far from the requested floor. So something like that.
So you'll have another object that keeps track of like
Each
what,
elevator. Yeah.
what each elevator is doing is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, like, is it moving? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't understand what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. You
Okay.
got it. So basically it's a direction, right? So you have a function called push button direction. You should have a pass that direction to elevator object. You should track what state of that elevator, is it moving up or moving down. So if you consider the naming convention, I can say it's a direction, right? So we have a 2 state, whether it's moving up or moving down, or ideal.
Like that. You're saying this is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me rethink this.
Keep going. So
Yeah, I'm rethinking what we've done here. So, because I'm starting to understand what you're looking for. As far as like how we design this thing. So, elevator state. And let me ask a real quick question. When you said you want to have an external, okay, so this is the buttons themselves, right?
right.
Okay. So this would be like an internal button.
You can say, yeah, internal request object, that's the external request object, whatever you like. So,
Let me think here, destination button, and we got elevator state. So every time that we move or whatever, we report back to the elevator state what we're doing at any given time. Is what you're saying.
yeah, that's how it's work, right? So it's a common. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so I don't know what else we would want to do then.
Okay, let's talk about the simulation part, right? So I think I got it. So what you were trying to do. So let's talk about the simulation part, right? So how do you optimize, right? What kind of algorithm you are going to use to solve this elevator in an efficient way? you have a 10-floor building, right? So 3 elevators, people are coming and going. So how do you put the request in such a way you can efficiently using your elevator? Because if one elevator in the 10th floor, you are requested from the down floor. So if person is waiting and there are 10 people in each that particular elevator. So if they are getting down at each floor, so by the time it will reach, it take longer time than other 2 elevator are ideal, right? Not being used. So
Yeah.
something like you just have to give kind of idea. How do you, it's kind of simulation, right? You understand the meaning of simulation?
I don't know what you're saying.
A simulation, right? How exactly it's working?
Oh, a simulation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know what a simulation is. Thanks. I don't know. I think I'm drawing a blank now.
All right. So you wanted to call it off now, or?
Yeah, because I'm not really sure, because I know that this is going to
That's
sound
totally
like
fine. That's totally fine. So
no. This is my first time. I expected to fail on it, so it's no big
Okay,
deal.
okay.
And that's fine. But usually on system design stuff that I do, it's always been web development. So
Okay.
when you came to me with the elevator problem, it's like, oh, what?
So I think okay. So I'll get the feedback to the SD host. I think they are doing good job. So wait for the feedback, right?
Yeah.
If
Hey,
sorry to
host?
interrupt. Hello.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted to give back the control to host so that they know.
Hey, wanted to know that if we have a time, can I take the same problem right away?
Yeah, sure. I think hold on. So I need the permission from SD host. So I don't know what they're planning. Even this is first time for me.
Yeah, I think first we
Yeah.
can give the others can give feedback on the interview,
Yeah.
and then interviewer will give feedback on interview, and interviewee will give his feedback, and then others can chime in to solve the problem or anything.
Okay. So interviewer is going to give feedback first.
Yeah, we can do. Let if anyone in the audience wants to give a quick feedback, they can give, and then interviewer in last will be interviewee, and then we can open it for if someone wants to solve it.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys, without spending any time. So. Vinay, you wanted to go first?
So I think if there's nobody, then John can first do a self-assessment, and then Parin, you can do.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll say, first of all, thanks. That was that was very interesting. I guess I need to be thinking outside the box a little bit more. So I appreciate that. That was exactly, I'm wanting to get out of my comfort zone. I need to be able to think about outside. I mean, I'm such a technical person. So the only thing that I ever deal with are like web components and web development, system design from a computer programming, like from a web development system perspective. So it's obvious to me I need to take those kind of things that we do there and be able to apply them to external elements as well. Simple things like an elevator design shouldn't have been this difficult for me. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I just deer in headlights froze up. But so that was good. That was a good experience for me. I think later on I'll have to sit down and actually review what we did here and evaluate myself a little bit better. Should figure out like what it is that I was missing on the questions and what I could have been thinking about externally. I think that the thing that I got wrapped up on was coming up with a blueprint of the design instead of actually thinking about like how would I create a object or a programming system or whatever to actually do the operations. I was thinking so high level. I just was thinking about how do you connect the dots? What are the basic operations instead of thinking like how would I design an object or a design system that would actually allow these components to communicate with each other. So that was eye-opening for me. So I'll have to pay attention a little bit more to the remaining interviews you guys do and take some notes and figure out like how it is to do this again. So I'll sign up when I'm comfortable and we'll take this another shot.
Sure.
But overall, thanks a
Yeah,
lot. That
hey,
was fun.
John. Yeah. So I'm sorry I didn't get the idea. Like basically, you are a web developer. So I thought it's for SD session. So all SD belong to like